Greetings, welcome back to Game Design. This is lesson 16, mouse input. So we went over keyboard input, went over conditionals. This will go over a little bit more. I've talked about this in previous lessons, but there is the if-else video for you to watch, and we'll use a little bit more in here. So again, hopefully you're getting used to how the if statements work by now. So most of this lesson is going to be focusing on that and the if-else, but we will talk about the mouse, which works very similar as a keyboard. So with that, we'll just jump right in. You can look at the piece here, right? Go ahead and guess what it's going to do and then come back. But you'll notice in this case, spacebar does this, else. Again, not really focusing much on the mouse input this time, but this else concept, right? There is that. So when you run it, you'll see it's getting smaller. When I hit the spacebar, it gets bigger, right? So spacebar is bigger. And then not holding the spacebar, it goes smaller, right? It gets smaller and smaller and smaller. So that is the else. Go ahead and watch the video if you haven't already. We'll jump right into level 3 and see if we can get through 4 pieces of this. So in this case, the gears already spin in one direction. When you hold the spacebar, it wants you to spin in the opposite direction when you're not pressing it, right? So it already has the else statement. I'm just going to copy all of this, paste it into there, and all you got to do is switch the signs, right? That's all there is to this one. And I reset it and run it, and now it's already going, right? Because I'm not pressing spacebar, so it spins the opposite way of when I hold the spacebar, right? So I'm holding the spacebar, not spacebar, spacebar, not spacebar. So we'll go ahead and finish that one. Move on to level 4. Again, most of this is the if, it, else. I've already kind of showed you the if-else. The only thing is this one is changing to have the, somehow I deleted the else piece of this, is to make it so instead of this, it's mouse down, right? Oh, I didn't delete it. So still have our else statement. I gotta switch all these signs real quick. But in this case, and you can't really see it, but when you do it yourself, you run it, it goes one direction, and when I click now there are a lot of things, we'll talk about this later, that you may use, but you can also get the mouse X and Y when you're doing that, right? And these aren't if statements, these actually give you back numbers. So we'll see that in a second when that's useful. But, so I click, it goes the other direction, it's just listening for a mouse down. And when you actually drag this over, you could also pick if it's the left or the right button. But for that, move on to the next one and check it out real quick. So in this case, we run it, the balloon's going down. It wants it to make it go up if it's that. So go to controls, if else. Now you'll also notice, yeah, if else, there's this. So again, I'm going to tab it over. So it's going to go down. Drag that into the else statement. Otherwise, and this is what I was talking about when you do the mouse. It actually has the left button by default. And I'm just going to go ahead and copy this, paste it, and make it go minus. So when I run it, I click to make it go up. So same concept of the spacebar and everything we've done. It's just we can now do it with the mouse button for this. The next one's going to be a little bit more exciting. So last level before we get started on the practice. In this case, we want it to go back and forth and shake. So I run it, it shakes when I'm on this half, right? So we're going to X, and this is, remember, this is a number, so this is not saying if it's pressed or not. That's why it actually has a comparison. So we're actually comparing now, right? Comparing to see if the X is less than 0. So when I go over, you can see my X. You can see where my X is. 214, 208. You can see it down here, right? And as soon as I get that less than 200, not there, 200, 200 is not less than 200, and next one, now it shakes, right? So for this one, right, here's the beauty of this, right? If I'm not on this side, it doesn't matter my Y, right? All of this is less than 200x. So if I'm not on that side, I'm on the other side. Now you could do world mouse X greater than equal to 200. Now if you do greater than 200, then if you are on 200, neither of them will go. But if I just type in an else statement, right, then it's done, right? This is the only other option. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to copy these. It'll save me a little bit of typing, not a lot. But we got to change this to mixer. And then mixer. And now the key difference to this one is this will put the mixer over here, right? This random number is 95 to 105. That's the X. That's already where this is. The Y is fine, right? They're both on this Y-axis, right? They're both on the same Y-axis, but they're on different X-axis. So in this case, luckily, I know because it's 300, 300, that I'm going to randomly go from 295 to 3. And that's another thing to think about, right? It's 100. So this is 5 below 100. This is 5 above 100. This is 300. This is 5 below 300, 5 above 300. These are both 300, so therefore we have this. So let's go and reset and run it. And now we go back and forth. Now, you could, as I pointed out, do if, and then grab this and do greater than. All right, that is also an option too. But in this case, the only two options are that. Now, technically, as I said, if you can somehow get to just 200, see, neither of them are going. When I get 200, that's why one of these need to be greater than or equal to. All right, that is it. Go ahead and work your way through the practice, assessment, and challenge. We now know what we need to control it. Our next project will be, we're not going to do this code.org one, but our next project will be taking this and putting it into your game. We'll see with Pong, and then we'll do it with yours. Have a good one. We'll see you next lesson.